Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
Who are the top safeties in this upcoming NFL draft that the Rams should target in rounds 1, 2, or 3? We'll talk about that next on this off-season draft episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, Rams Nation? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. Like, subscribe, share this video, share this podcast with all your fellow Rams and football fans out there. We very much appreciate it. Mark, the draft is soon. How you feeling?
Really good. I'm, pretty much at this point utterly confused. Have no idea what the Rams are going to do. Have a couple of inklings, what I want them to do. But
Yeah.
man, this is a difficult year to really predict where the Rams are going to go. It really is.
Yep, there's a lot of other stuff we'll talk about later this week before the draft and other big news cycling around about other prospects and position groups. We'll hit that another day. But for today, Rams Nation, it's time to talk some safeties as a group that I think many of us don't really think about as a position of need, but it is. Let's talk it through real quick, Rams Nation. You have Cameron Curl on the final year of his 2-year deal he signed, right? This is the second year of that. And if he doesn't make a positive impact, he will not be back. Let's be real. You have Cameron Kitchens, who played some really good football at the end of the season, which I was very happy about, as I was very unhappy with his play early in those first month and some change of the season where he was just not good, straight up. And he drastically improved to a really high-quality starter, in my opinion. Somebody who we did draft in the 3rd round from the University of Miami last year, so that draft pick has worked out thus far. Now, as we move on to the other safety, John Johnson, he's probably not going to be back unless he's down to take another vet minimum as a backup depth role. But unfortunate for him, he's been injured a ton, so it's very unlikely, he will not be around. And then you have Quinn Lake, a Captain Q, as the Rams teammates and a lot of Rams fans like to call him as well. He is in the final year of his rookie contract, and the way the Rams like to do business, they don't re-sign safeties hardly ever. Right? John Johnson, back when he was, part of the number 1 defense in the NFL as the signal caller, he was a Pro Bowl worthy player. And they said, see you later. We'll let Cleveland pay you, excuse me. And, we were just fine without him, won a Super Bowl without him and had good years without him. So that, LaMarcus Joyner got paid a lot from us, didn't re-sign him after the franchise tag. And we can go on and on and on. But the history of this position is that when your contract is up, they ain't re-signing you if you're special. So with that in mind, there will likely need to be a safety in the wings to be able to be a starter for next year and beyond, unless, again, Cameron Curl's a Pro Bowl All-Pro, unless Quinn Lake's a Pro Bowl All-Pro level guy, or he wins those physical awards. Those guys ain't going to be back. Let's just call it what it is. Now, again, yes, there is Jalen McCullough, who plays the dime linebacker safety spot, but his role is very limited. We're thinking about a traditional safety that can play multiple different roles, and maybe McCullough does go into that as an undrafted safety who was leading the leagues in picks for a short time and, led the Rams with picks with his limited snaps. So a good group, but a group that needs to be addressed for future years, in my opinion. And I'm sure the Rams will do that just like they do many, many drafts in a row. It feels like always drafting some safety guys. So with that in mind, let's start the list here, Rams Nation. Ranking the top safeties in the 2025 NFL draft class based on film. It's important to remember that. This isn't other people's rankings. This isn't, watching highlight tapes on YouTube and just going off that. No, this is what our 2 eyes, our 4 eyes collectively here, watching film, seeing what they do on the football field with no other outside biases, predictions, mock draft this, that, none of that. So let's start off with a player who I believe is round 1 or 2 worthy, depending on how you feel about him, and that is Nick Emenwari from the University of South Carolina. Good player, man. Mark, what are some fun facts and stats about him?
Well, it appears to be a great combination of size and speed. 6'3", 220, a 4.38 40, and he was a first-team All-American, led the team with 88 tackles, 2 pick sixes, and they say he can play in the box or over the top. Really good recovery speed. And hey, before you move on, talking about safeties that have moved on, Nick Scott, Jordan
Oh, Nick Scott
Fuller,
too, of course.
yeah,
Yeah,
Jordan Fuller, Taylor
Jordan
Rapp.
Fuller.
Just wanted to throw
Yep,
that. So there
of
has been
course.
a long
I knew
line
I
of
was missing people, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fine. But just to support your point, the Rams don't bring back safeties back.
No, they do not. So as we start this list, just keep that in the back of your mind, Rams Nation. It would be a safety that makes sense for future years as a starter and an all-around good secondary player, right? So with Nick here from the University of South Carolina, this dude's a super freak. Now, round 1 worthy for a gazillion reasons, and let's start with some of those. The speed is excellent. This dude is incredibly explosive, excuse me, for a big human being. It's ridiculous, right? Super strong as well. In terms of run defense, I mean, dude is shedding off offensive lineman like an inside linebacker. I mean, it's really impressive, right? So speed and strength off the charts. Wow, it pops off the tape, no doubt about it. In terms of, let's talk about his zone coverage. In terms of his just overall feel, right? Some players don't have good feel in zone, as we talked about in a previous episode about linebackers. Just they need to be coached up and just kind of gain that, sixth sense that is acquirable. He's got a great sixth sense in zone coverage, right? He's able to play and read and react very, very quickly. He's very disciplined. He's not getting caught up with combination routes that are setting himself up to fail, right? Or trying to get him in a bind to screw up and maybe run with one man when he should have been going with the other. He's very good at sticking to his job, reading his keys, and playing it well. And then he's absolutely fantastic in that shorter to intermediate area covering the field. I mean, it's absolutely impressive the length, speed, agility that he's got, just to cover that whole range of the field. In terms of man-to-man coverage, the dude is absolutely fantastic jamming guys at the line of scrimmage. Great hands. I mean, dude could probably play some corner, and we'll talk about that next, full time, sincerely. Great hands. There's not a lot of bad false steps and lunging like you sometimes see when people are trying to get a really good jam. I mean, he's great technique, pow, 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 with the punches, you could call it. Absolutely fantastic. The strength to jam guys too is impressive. Really, really impressive. Able to get guys off their spot to get a really bad release. Now, if he doesn't get that in terms of, running in the hip pocket, meaning that, hey, you're hip in hip, staying on the receiver, that could work. That could use some work. And then you look at it, not everybody could do man-to-man and run around with guys nonstop. That's a tough gig, but I've seen it, but it's inconsistent. So that can be, I think, coached up and he can learn to be able to track guys a little bit better. But in terms of if he gets you off press, I mean, he's got you. It's done if they do have him close to the line of scrimmage. In terms of run defense overall, I talked about the block shedding and all that already. Tackling, I think, is pretty good. I think with his size and strength, I think he can definitely lay the boom a little bit more sometimes. But overall, I think is very good. And in terms of overall physical play on the ball, interceptions, I think is excellent. Blitzing, really not his strength. You're not going to be like, hey, go line up there and go attack and rush the quarterback. Could he do it? Sure, but that's definitely not his strength. But I think overall, where does he fit in the Rams schematics of this Rams nation? This is definitely somebody, right? Traditional free safety, covering the whole deeper parts of the field. You can have him at strong safety, right? Closer to the line of scrimmage, similar to Cameron Curl, how he's kind of playing to help and run support as he's really good, strong individual himself. Nick and Emenwari could absolutely do that. You can have him as the dime linebacker, right, where you can yank out Omar and Landman or Reed or whoever and have them be that roving inside linebacker ranging around that you want a bigger guy that's faster. Absolutely could do that as he did at South Carolina. And then I think he's got potential to be at that star nickel position as well because he's got the bigger body. He's around the ball more. He can probably hang with the speed and agility with quicker inside, slot F receivers. This dude's absolutely fantastic. And I have round one worthy for all those things. Round two worthy because you could say, hey, we don't really like that. Whatever. He just maybe he doesn't make sense for us, or I can see safeties just don't get valued as much, Mark. You know how this goes. It's corners, it's rushers, it's linemen, it's receivers, it's quarterbacks. So this guy could get pushed down, no doubt about it. But based on all the positive, I'd be shocked if he didn't go round one. And this is somebody that the Rams should very much be considering there at pick 26 if he's around. So I like this guy's film a ton, and this guy's a baller in my opinion.
Yeah, the way you were describing him, I was asking myself, okay, so why is he possibly round two? Sounds like a round one pick. And I was going to ask, you already answered it. It's more about the
Yeah.
position. It's really more about the position, right? Safeties are
Yeah.
just not valued as much. And for that reason, if you're looking for a top-notch safety, he could fall into your lap late in the first round, right?
Yeah. I mean, look at what was the dude's what you said 6'3", 220 something? Is that what the measurables you had?
Oh, what do I have here? 6'3", 220, and it runs a 4.38
220.
40.
Yeah, I mean, like again, like he's just a physical freak. I mean, it's insane. I mean, this would be a home run hit in my opinion at pick 26. Let's just be honest. For what we need, for the positional value, for what he will do in the secondary, round one worthy of that. But safeties don't get valued high, so I could see him going in round two. But uh, I think he'd be great. Now you could say, oh, Ian, other safeties have been picked in round one, they haven't worked out, so that's why I can see round two just for that reason, and teams pass on him. But overall talent, all the other stuff, I think round one worthy at pick 26 and later makes complete sense. And this guy's freaking good, Mark.
Yeah, it's just a question of, I understand the potential for, needing a safety in 2026. And a guy like this is probably going to get on the field in 2025. But I still think they want surefire starters for a Super Bowl run.
Yeah,
And
of
maybe
course,
he's
yeah.
the guy. Yeah, maybe he's the guy. So yeah, it's just a matter of how much they value that position. I mean, if it was him and Jihad Campbell, you're probably taking Campbell, right?
Yes, I would, just because of his rushing ability, and obviously inside
Right,
linebacker is a quote unquote weakness of us right now.
right.
So
Yeah,
that makes more
right,
sense. But I think Jihad will go pretty high. I mean, will go sooner than our pick 26, to be honest with you. But you never know.
right,
You never know how this thing's gonna unfold, Rams Nation. I mean, this
right.
first round could go a million different ways, and there is a scenario where Emin Wari is around there, and this would be definitely worthy of pick 26 in my opinion. So as we move on to another safety who I believe is round one or two worthy, depending on how you feel about him as a player. That would be Malachi Starks from the University of Georgia. Another hell of a good football player, in my opinion. Mark, what are some fun facts and stats about him?
6'1", just 197, so he's a little bit on the lean side. Five-star prospect coming out of high school, a top 15 overall prospect. And as a freshman, started 14 games. As a freshman, started
Yeah.
14 games for the national champions. 2023 first team All-American, 2024 second team All-American, led the team with 77 tackles. And he's just a high IQ player. And I think he's pretty versatile, good tackler, good on deep balls. So I think he's going to be a solid NFL safety.
I think so as well. Now we'll talk about the high Q stuff as you just mentioned that. We'll start with that first. In terms of his zone coverage ability, I think anything in the underneath area is absolutely excellent, right? Being able to get quick reaction, be able to hit receivers, get to his assignment, be able to read and react is absolutely fantastic. From that deeper part of the field, I think is good. And we'll get into a little bit more. In terms of the hook area, right? In terms of that intermediate to like sideline ins, outs, the curl hook comeback, in terms, a lot of defense, of course, like, oh, the hook, get back to the hook. That area, I think, is probably about, what do my notes say here? Average to good. It's inconsistent. Now, this is where he gets in trouble, though. This is where I think where I could see him going in round 2, and this is where he cost himself a first round pick, in my opinion, or selection, I should say. There was just way too many times I think he was just like he got caught up looking at the quarterback's eyes, and he totally let up a big pass. I mean, that just happened more times than I thought I would just kind of see from a guy who had a lot of hype. I kept hearing Malachi. I was like, I got to turn on that tape. I want to say, Mark, I mean, there was maybe at least like 7, 8 times where, I mean, he just totally let up a big, huge bomb where he was just getting caught looking at somewhere else where receivers were running in his area and he just didn't cover them for whatever reason. So it has to do with eye discipline. It's like, okay, yes, you want to be able to read the quarterback size. And I'm not saying it happened all the time, but there was a couple, again, 7 or 8 off the top of my head, where that had just happened too much. And I think that could be coached up out of him, which is why I say round 1 or 2 worthy, just based on that alone. But let's get to some other stuff that I really enjoy before we go into other, straight. So in terms of the speed, I think he's got excellent speed. Totally fast, totally explosive, running around. In terms of, if you say, hey, you got to run some man-to-man, I think he could do it too, actually. He can press. Again, another player with good hands, be able to jam guys up, good jab punches, doesn't lean, doesn't take any bad false steps. I mean, he's got great technique. In terms of staying in a player's hip pocket, I think is okay, probably like average, just inconsistent. And that's hard for a lot of these safety guys to be able to just run around man-to-man. Some good reps, some bad reps, is what it is. But more times there's good than bad. So I'll say about average to good on that. And in terms of the power, being able to run once he gets you in a jam, I think it's pretty good. So once he jams you up and he gets the receiver off the line, or he gets them off their mojo, you can call it, he's able to run with guys pretty dang good. So there's the yin and yang of that. In terms of run defense and tackling, I think he's excellent. He's definitely strong. He's definitely good at shedding blocks. He's good at reading keys, to be able to time himself, to be able to position himself to make a tackle in the hole, be able to, get around a tackle or a lead blocker, get low, make a surefire stop behind the line of scrimmage. Very, very good. In terms of just ball, hawking ability and, being able to play the ball, I think is excellent, right? Plenty of times where he's made pass deflections, got some interceptions and stuff. But overall, a fantastic player. But those times in zone where he was just getting caught up reading the quarterback's eyes, in my opinion, that's a big no-no in the NFL, right? Just getting caught up in that. So if you ignore that, then you can say everything else is fantastic, round 1 worthy. But if you're a team, which makes sense to be like, hey, that happened way too much for your caliber of player, that's definitely more of a round 2 worthy guy. And based on that, just my opinion, I would be more comfortable taking him in round 2. But if the Rams did say, hey, we're taking him at pick 26, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't be mad about it. There's plenty of great traits that this guy has. And hell of a football player in general, though. But again, he was getting caught up too much in deep zone there. But I think that could be coached up, and that shouldn't hopefully be an issue going forward. But everything else, again, hell of a good football player.
Yeah, the scouting report I saw cited the exact same thing, that he his eyes cost him a little bit, eats a
Yeah,
little bit with his
absolutely.
eyes,
There's no doubt.
and gives up big plays.
Yeah. So, I mean, didn't happen all the time, Rams Nation, but enough where you're like, hey, man, that's no bueno. But I think the Rams defense and Shula with his safety background and all the other coaching staff, I think they could improve that significantly. And to sum it up as well, with him, traditional safety, right? Free safety. You can go in the box if you wanted to, or a strong safety to be closer to the line of scrimmage, right? You can have him as a dime linebacker to rove around the middle and make tackles and cover that part of the field. And I think he does have ability to also play in that star nickel, right? Play the slot, play against, those F receivers and run around and jam guys up there. So I think he's definitely got capability to play all the different positions in the secondary. And then I guess in a pinch, if you really had to play outside corner, I think he could, get away with that a little bit. But definitely somebody who could start in our secondary, will be good for the future, and obviously would have a role as of today if he were to get drafted somewhere in the secondary, as no one likes to play the star position. Mark Quinn Legg says he don't like it. Kobe Durant don't like it. Cameron Curl says he don't like it. Darren Kendrick didn't like it. The only player that's ever liked it is Jalen Ramsey, of course, because they designed that position just for him. So in terms of trait-wise and all that, the first 2 guys that we've talked about thus far can do it, and I think that's very, very valuable.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It seems like he's kind of a compromise type safety. He's not a game changer type of player, but he'll certainly improve this group. And I think most have Eman Wari rated above Starks, but I think there are some folks that like Starks more surprisingly. Yeah, those are clearly the top two guys, though.
Yeah, you know how it is though, Mark. It's like your University of Georgia played in big games, all that stuff. Like that carries weight. Les Snead admits that carries weight, like playing in big time games for a big university. So I totally get all that, and makes sense to me. So there you go, Rams Nation. Malachi Starks, round 1 or 2 worthy in my opinion. But who is another player who I enjoyed seeing his tape as well, but round 3 worthy, and that would be Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State University. Mark, what are some fun facts and stats about him?
Well, we've talked about a lot of guys that have tons of tape and a lot of experience. Winston's kind of the opposite. 6'1", 215 pounds. He played in 3 games in 2024 due to a knee injury. You go back to 2023, led the team with 61 tackles. So he's talented, but just not a lot of tape on him. He is a team captain and considered a really good tackler for that's the one observation they do have on him. So, there's just a little, I wouldn't call it a risk, but some of these guys have been in so many games and so many big time games, and with Winston, that's not the case.
Yeah, so unfortunately for him, yes, he tore his ACL. So I watched part of the 2024 tape that was available to me. Really liked it, and then I had to go back a little bit and watch some of the previous season to just get a better feel for him as an overall football player. So this guy is just definitely a super freak tackler. I mean, it is absolutely wow. So we'll start with that, his superpower. In terms of tackling, I mean, it is like he's around you, forget about it. He's getting you to the ground and bringing you down. So in terms of the range, right, in terms of the vicinity that a ball carrier, pass catcher's in, I mean, if he's around you, this guy, I mean, he's getting you. It's really like, wow, he never misses a tackle and everything's just formed to the T. I mean, it's really beautiful to watch. In terms of his ball, hawking, I guess, ball skills, pretty dang good, right? Again, 2024 tape was limited, but the 2023 tape I did enjoy. In terms of his overall physicality in the run game, speaking of just tackling, I mean, he's absolutely excellent shedding off blocks, right? A lineman trying to attack him, he can fight that guy off and make that perfect tackle, in my opinion. Physicality and his strength to be able to hold up in the run game, absolutely fantastic. I mean, this dude's just a super freak, strong human being for sure. Now, as we go into how does that translate to his overall athleticism and other parts, again, his speed, I think, is good. He's not some fast dude. I wouldn't say he's just, oh my God, ultra quick with his turning his hips and all that. That's definitely not his game, but he's definitely got adequate speed for his safety for sure. Now, if we go into zone coverage, this is where things get a little tricky with him, Mark. Another player where I feel like anything short and underneath and, in that, flats to inside linebacker ish range, a little bit deeper, more Tampa 2 kind of region of the field. I think he's pretty good. But anywhere else, though, Mark, I mean, it's inconsistent as hell, though. I got to be honest with you. So, in terms of the deeper part of the field, too many busts where he's same thing with Starks. He's getting caught up with quarterback size, getting fooled by combination routes that can, that are meant to fool secondary members to get them caught up and read one way than the other. I think there's a little bit too much of that sometimes. And I noticed on film that he's like, okay, that's something I got to work on. I'm just guessing here that he'll be a little hesitant to pull the trigger, maybe an attacking receiver that comes to the zone because he didn't want to be fooled or be given up. So I think with coaching, that could be boosted up for sure. Okay. Definitely needs work. And no, a lot of that was based on 2024. I saw a lot more improvement in 2023, 2024, only 4 games, but I think that would have been much, much more improved if he was healthy and available for those. So that is something to be like, you got to gamble on that's going to be much improved, right? In terms of, let's say, can he do man-to-man coverage? Another player, he can press. He's got good hands. It seems like all these safeties are just strong guys that can definitely hit receivers and have good anchors, good positioning, good foots, no false steps. He's absolutely fantastic with that, with the punching. Obviously, like I said, has the strength to get guys off. In terms of running in a hip pocket with the corner, with a wide receiver, inconsistent, right? Just like all the other safeties. If he gets the jam on you, you're done. He's got you in man to man. If he doesn't get you good, which is not all the time, then he can lose a player in man to man coverage. But that's most of these safeties. And overall, though, Mark, again, a very strong, explosive, traditional, strong safety, in my opinion, that had some flaws based on the 2023 tape. Looked better in 2024. That plus the knee injury makes me believe that round 3 Worthy's the soonest you could take this guy. For all the positive stuff, all the negative stuff, I could still see him going in round 4 and later because of the injury and because the inconsistencies in zone, though. But a lot of good film, but definitely your traditional strong safety that, hey, could fill in at what Cameron Curl does for future years, no doubt about it. Get him in here, get him to learn, get him healthy, and I think he could definitely do Cameron Curl's job to a good degree, I believe, in the future if he is selected by the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to draft a safety somewhere in the third, fourth. They don't have a fifth round pick, maybe the sixth or seventh. And this is the type of guy that they seem to draft, especially if he drops a little bit. And yeah, you called it out, right? Though a couple of strikes against him, not a lot of tape on him, coming off the injury, and has some limitations on how you can use him. So that would make me hesitate there.
Yeah, again, a traditional strong safety player. That's exactly what he is. And I think, again, coach him up, get that leg healthy, and I think he would be a great fit to be in that strong safety role, Cameron Curl role, play close to the line of scrimmage, make tackles, help in run support, maybe even play some dime linebacker, right? I think he could definitely fill in that role and do a good job there, right? Hover around like an inside linebacker there when we trying to defend the pass as well. Definitely think you could do that. So if we draft him, he definitely would have a role on this team, in my opinion. And obviously, if the knee and everything checks out and heals up good. So round 3 Worthy based on all that Rams Nation, but a player whose tape I did enjoy watching. I love the physical guys, Mark. It's just it's my old Smash Mouth style that I grew up with and I grew up playing with.
Fair enough.
But onward we go, Rams Nation. Who was another round 3 Worthy player whose film I enjoyed watching? And that would be from University of Notre Dame, and that player is Xavier Watts. Round 3 Worthy. Mark, what are some fun facts and stats about him?
Well, as I'm reading, putting together this information on him, if I didn't know better, I'd say this guy's the best safety in the group. And he apparently is not, but 6 feet 204. 2023, he won the Bronco Nagurski Award as the best defender in college football. 7 interceptions in 13 games. So let that sink in. Great instincts. 2024 first team All American. Had that 100-yard interception return for a touchdown against our Trojans. And Travis Hunter and Xavier Watts, the only consensus All Americans in 2023 and 2024. And they say he can play just about anywhere, anyhow, any way you want. Just a versatile safety that can do just about anything. And you read this, you're like, oh, he's got to be the best safety in the group. But the consensus is that's not the case. They have most of them have him right about where you have him, in that 4th or 5th range.
Right on. And look at another hell of a damn good football player. So let's just start with we'll start with his strengths and what I like. In terms of zone coverage, he's absolutely excellent. Play recognition, being able to decipher what the concepts are that are trying to attack him, right? He's very disciplined, does not get baited by those. Absolutely fantastic of reading the quarterback's eyes when it's time to do that. Ball hawk, incredible. He's just an absolutely good safety that can make plays on the football, right? Intercepting, pass breakups, hardly ever, causes any disruption in the secondary in terms of like a negative play. I mean, the dude is just absolutely a crispy what you want in a traditional up top safety. Blitzing and run defense overall, I think is pretty dang good. He's a strong guy, man. Definitely can hold his own, sheds blocks, really good about sending him on a blitz. I think that was a strength, and shout out to Notre Dame for doing that. Some other safeties that they really didn't deploy them that way. He was somebody who were like, nope, go out there, make plays for us, dude. And he was very good at that. Now, in terms of man coverage and all that, he is not fast at all, by the way. Right? He is not. Like, the tape don't lie. If you're saying, hey, go put him out there, man, and have him run around, that is just an awful idea. So there was sometimes he was, but he can press. It was good. Wasn't anything perfect. He still had good technique, but a little more lungy. He's just not some big, faster, superhuman strong guy. So if he didn't get a good press on you, then, if you had to turn and burn, forget about it. He wasn't keeping up at all. So there are times, though, where there is a faster player that's maybe running by him, and he got the perfect technique. He's dropping his hips, backpedaling. He turns his hip at the right time to go, and he'll just get outrun, though. That's where it's an issue, where teams could be like, we love everything about your game. Obviously, we're not going to have you be man-to-man. You're going to be a traditional up top, strong or free safety. But there is a worry that, the faster receivers in this league could run by him. That is where everything else I enjoyed about his tape, but that is something that is concerning. But again, he's with the smarts, his zone coverage ability, obviously his strength, his tackling, his blitzing ability, his ball hawk ability, because he's able to read and recognize and make quick steps before things really start to unfold. It's excellent. But if things don't go that way, and maybe just a fast, let's just say Tutu Atwell starts to run, and forget about it. He's in trouble, right? A Jamar Chase, somebody else. And there's a lot of safeties that are like that. But with all that, round 3 worthy. I think any sooner, I get it. This will be a little too high for me. But if the Rams selected him in round 3, I'd be like, you know what? This totally makes sense. And he'd be somebody that could definitely be a starter in years to come at that traditional free safety spot. Now, could he play some dime? I think he could. Could he play some of the star slot? I think he could, but because of his lack of speed, I would be like, I got to see it to see how it looks. I think he's got the wherewithal, the smarts, the zone coverage ability, but be able to handle some of those quicker inside guys, whether it is like an Amon-Ra or, you put some big boy receiver in the slot because you're just trying to get matchups, or a tight end. It gets a little tricky. But definitely up top traditional free safety, I think he could definitely make a good impact for the future years. But round 3 worthy because of all those reasons, Mark, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can coach up a lot of stuff. It's hard to coach up speed, though. So if that's the hole in his game, yeah, that's concerning for sure.
Again, I'm not saying he's some slow poke or anything, but in terms of like, there's just too many times where he's just getting outran, in my opinion. I'm like, I don't like that,
Yeah.
But everything else is great. So, but because of that, round 3 worthy, and again, see him drafted by the Rams in round 3. I think that's great value. That makes sense to me. Any higher, that feels like a lot of a reach for me. And I think the Rams are smart enough. They probably wouldn't pull that trigger that high, rounds 1 or 2 anyway. But yeah, Rams Nation, good tape, good player. Just that speed stuff gets a little tricky. But again, he could be coached up, yada, yada, yada. You know the deal. So there we go, Rams Nation. University of Notre Dame, Xavier Watts, who, again, film that I enjoyed. But who was another round 3 worthy safety whose film I also enjoyed? And that would be from the University of Texas. That would be Andrew Makuba, number 4 there. Another player from a high-profile academy, college, organization. Mark, what are some fun facts and stats about him?
Well, he was born in Zimbabwe, came to the United States when he was 9 years old. He's 5'11", 186, runs a 4.45. Spent his first 3 years at Clemson and then transferred to Texas. In 2023 at Clemson, he had 6 pass breakups. And in 2024, he was third team All SEC with 5 interceptions.
Yep, a good player for sure. As I think this his film was really fun to watch as well. Again, a high profile dude. And let's go through some of his traits and the stuff that I liked. So let's start with the speed then. How about that? As is something that I never really popped off his tape. He's definitely a fast son of a gun. Very explosive. Able to get in and out of breaks to run receivers and make plays on the football. I think it was very, very good. Excellent in my opinion. In terms of zone coverage, absolutely excellent as well. Another player, great at recognizing concepts so he doesn't get caught up getting fooled. Absolutely good about staying true to his keys and trusting what his eyes are saying, not getting fooled by the quarterback. Absolutely good deep, no problem running with fast receivers. Absolutely no problem attacking that intermediate area when that's the responsibility or he has to make a play there. Absolutely great underneath. Zone coverage, excellent in my opinion. Really, really enjoyed seeing that. And again, he is a quote unquote smaller, safety. He's not some huge guy, so he runs around a little bit better. In terms of man-to-man coverage, I think he could do it. Now, he has no good press coverage ability, so that'd be not the ideal setup for him. Don't have him close to the line of scrimmage where he has to jam people. He's not good at it. If you want a little bit more off and start running around with people then, I think he could do it as Texas did every now and then with him. I saw that. In terms of staying on a player's hip pocket, I think he did a good job. As again, he's a faster guy that's good hips. He can turn and burn really, really nice. So in terms of that, I think you can play some man coverage, just don't have him press. In terms of run defense, I think I see him bring the boom, but he does get blocked sometimes where it's like, ooh, you got pancaked there. Again, he's a smaller stature guy. Not, you don't want him probably close to the line of scrimmage all the time playing box safety or stuff like that. That's definitely not his game. But overall, tackling, all that stuff, cues some work, but again, it has to do with the size and his overall strength, in my opinion. And blitzing, not his thing. I mean, this guy, Mark, is just a traditional, true, up-top safety who I do believe could play strong, could play free, could play definitely the star position as well, though. I think he absolutely has that ability. As in certain situations at Texas, they did have him there at nickel, as in not often, but he could do it, in my opinion. They did have him there in some instances, and I think if I remember correctly, he was playing full-time nickel at Texas before. I think they said, "Hey, we want you to play safety," which he did and did a hell of a good job. So he's got that in him. Ball hawking, playability to make plays on the football. I mean, he's got it. He's just a good traditional safety who has that star nickel versatility, which is very, very valuable in my opinion. But what knocks him to the third round, again, his play strength, getting blocked, right? Maybe not the most sure tackler and all that, but if you want him running around, covering, playing man, playing man, playing zone, star, nickel, I think that would be a great pick in round 3 for us, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, 186 pounds, so he's 34 pounds lighter than Nick Amenwari, right? 34 pounds. But it seems like he would be, it seems like he'd be a good candidate to, run out there in the cheetah package, right? A DB with some speed. Doesn't have to, do the press man coverage. So yeah, it's just a matter of, and this is a guy as well as him and the next guy we're going to talk about. I have seen mocked to the Rams several times. So a lot of Ram fans and content creators are all over Makuba.
Yeah, it makes sense schematically for what we do. Again, traditional sub-top safety, strong or free, and then definitely can play that star nickel, everyone, and play at a big-time school. Les Need values that a lot, and so does Sean McVay. So makes sense. Would be happy to see him in round 3 selected. That would be a good pick, in my opinion, based on all his traits and then the negative stuff. That just totally makes sense for us there. And as we move on, Rams Nation, the final safety, I believe, is rounds 1, 2, or 3 worthy. I have round 3 worthy for University of Virginia safety, Jonas Sanker. Mark, what are some fun facts and stats about him?
Sanker, 6 feet and 206, and in 2023 he had 107 tackles. That's significant, and came back in 2024 and he led the team with 98 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, and he's a 2-time first team All ACC.
Total typical strong safety that you can line up close to the line of scrimmage, box, dime, and we'll get into more depth, but he's just that total, stereotypical strong safety, which was fun to watch his tape as he's more of a physical guy. So let's talk about that physicality. That's his superpower for sure. I mean, absolutely an enforcer. I mean, that total Cam Chancellor laying the boom, just can no doubt about it, ready to just lay his hat right on people. So run defense. I think his physicality is excellent. In terms of shedding blocks to make tackles, I think is good. I think he could work on that. And that's obviously technique sometimes and obviously get a little bit stronger, but he is pretty dang strong in my opinion. So it's a lot more technique I think he could get in that. In terms of tackling, I think is good. In terms of blitzing, I think he's also pretty dang good on that. In terms of running around, in terms of, hey, silent to silent, be a faster guy, that's definitely not his game. He is more of a strong safety. So speed, I think, is about average on that, truthfully. In terms of like explosion, right, getting his hips around to cover areas and run around, I think is average on that, truthfully. In terms of zone in the deeper part of the field, definitely not his game at all, right? He is a traditional strong safety closer to the line of scrimmage, not like dime linebacker, but more, strong safeties are usually closer to the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's just totally his role as that intermediate part of the field to short part of the field, him covering was absolutely excellent. Again, anything deeper had some issues, got, beat by faster guys. Sometimes would get caught up with the play, the play concepts that were deeper part of the field and get caught up with getting fooled to get drawn one way on purpose. Sometimes you would see him get caught up with the quarterback size, and that was more for just the deeper stuff. But again, intermediate to short in zone, he was pretty dang good to excellent in my opinion. In terms of man-to-man, definitely not his thing, right? Press coverage skills, the jamming, hand movement, boxing, average to below average. In terms of, running in a hip pocket and man-to-man, not good. Not his game at all. But a traditional strong safety guy who is a good tackler, plays strong, has great short, intermediate to short area zone coverage ability, who I think, again, could be coached up to be better part deep. Again, not a slow poker or anything, but a lot of good film that, hey, for that tackling ability and that strength and all that. And what was the solo tackles again, Mark? It was something crazy, right?
I'm not sure I have his
Or the total tackles, yeah, whatever you said.
solo
Apologies.
tackles, but in 2023, 107, and 2024, 98.
Yeah, so I mean, this dude's just, I'm ready to just lay my hat, great against screens, good against just anything short area, intermediate to short. Dude's a fantastic safety. So where does he fit in for the Rams on that? You can have him in Cameron Curl's role, closer to the line of scrimmage, right? You could have him as a dime linebacker, closer to the line of scrimmage to cover the short area, and then also help and run support in the, for his strength. Definitely makes sense there. Doesn't make sense for the star. Doesn't make sense for free safety. But if he is drafted in round 3, definitely could see him having a role in those spots. But I can also see him going in round 4 if other teams don't like some of his deeper part of the field coverage abilities. Totally get that. But hey, it's important to find guys that are willing to tackle, smack some people in the mouth, and that are good in other aspects of the field. And that's definitely a Sanker here, in my opinion, Mark.
Yeah, he sounds like a guy that just is begging the other team to run the ball, right? He wants to play against the run probably, and obviously pretty good at it. I could see him one of those guys. We've had a couple players that have been really good at blowing up those screen plays, jet sweeps, and that type of thing. And I could just picture him doing that on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, again, definitely somebody that could be good in Cameron Curl's strong safety role and that dime linebacker spot where, closer to the line of scrimmage, hovering by the D lineman area. So round 3 worthy. Any higher, total reach in my opinion. Any lower, wouldn't be shocked about that. But if the Rams did end up taking him in round 3, I would be satisfied and I would give my thumbs up on that, Mark. But that's it for this group I got here, Mark. Now, people might say, where is the Alabama safety Moore? Where is the Clemson safety Mickens? Where is the Oklahoma safety Bauman? Not that those guys were bad players or I didn't like them, but there was just stuff to their game that I said you can't justify, in my opinion, for sure going in round 3. Now, could that still happen? Of course. Are they going to go later? Most likely, because safety positions are more devalued, it seems like, as the years go on. It feels like, or every now and then, just a wave of players going high, wave of players going low for safeties. But overall, these are the guys that I enjoyed the tape the most, who you could justify going in rounds 1, 2, or 3, Mark.
Yeah, and the other guys you left out, that's not to say the Rams won't draft one of them. They've drafted
Yeah.
safeties late before, right? Jordan
Uh,
Fuller,
yeah.
Russ East. I think he was a seventh rounder.
Nick
Not that
Scott,
you're right. So,
John Johnson was a later round pick, and those guys all played good safety for us. So,
right.
it's you
Yeah, I
never
think
know. And again, you never know.
yeah, I think Taylor Rapp is the only one we've grabbed. He
Yeah,
was a
round
second
two. That's
rounder, I
probably never
think.
happened again.
Right, right. So, and they've succeeded at that, but we don't want to spend 3 hours talking about every safety, just focusing on the top guys, the guys that the Rams might target in the first 3 rounds. And very likely, in my opinion, that they'll go safety later. But at least we have an idea of the
Yeah.
guys that we can celebrate if they do pick them at the right spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And with these guys, Rams Nation, I mean, if they picked Emin Ward from South Carolina or Starks, I think those would be the top two guys that would make any sense in rounds 1 or 2. Everyone else, again, round 3, if they really liked them. But I can also see these round 3 worthy guys, Winston, Xavier, Makuba, Sanker. I can easily see them going in round 4 for all the different reasons that we had pointed out earlier. So if you're hoping for a safety early, Rams Nation, South Carolina, or Georgia, that's pretty much what you got to hope for. And who knows what that'll happen, Mark.
Yeah, and we're going to have one more episode, at least one more episode. We'll have a couple more episodes, but one of them before the draft. And we're going to just talk about all these things, the positions that the Rams might draft, the players that we like, that we really want them to pick at different spots, trading up, trading back, all that stuff. So that'll be a fun episode coming up here between now and Thursday sometime.
Yeah, we'll definitely. We'll talk about some other position groups before then as well, most likely, right? It's a lot of edge defenders. There's just so many that are worthy of rounds 1, 2, or 3. It's kind of incredible. D tackle, there's a lot of guys that are rounds 1, 2, and 3 worthy. So I'm still going through film on those guys. It's a lot of players that are quality, and we'll try to have a good discussion about them before the draft as well. But in terms of this group, Mark, hey, safety will be needed. Gotta just remember Cameron Curl, Quinn Lake. Uh, Jesus, John Johnson's gone. What's up with McCullough? Is he gonna be able to play good again? Right? Cameron Kitchens, does he have a sophomore slump? All these things are possibilities. And man, I think the safety will be drafted in this upcoming draft for us, Mark.
Yeah, I agree. That's a position that it comes down to how many picks they end up with. If they trade back, they'll pick up a pick or maybe two. But
Yeah.
of course, then they're probably going to try to trade back up and maybe give up a pick. So who knows how many? They got 8 right now. How many do they end up with? It's going to be a scattering of positions, obviously. I don't think they'll pick uh, more than one at any position, except maybe wide receiver if they can add a pick. But cornerback, I'm sorry, safety is going to be mixed in there somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. But we shall see, Rams Nation, as the draft is the great unknown. You buy a bunch of quote unquote lottery tickets and you hope you hit on as many as you possibly have bought. And that is the selections that we will make Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So hopefully we get a good safety out of this group or another player that emerges out of the group that I did not talk about. We will find out very, very soon. But that'll do it here, Rams Nation. Like, subscribe, share this video, share this podcast with all your fellow Rams fans and football fans out there. And let me know in the comments, which safety would you like to see drafted by the Rams in rounds 1, 2, or 3? Is it anybody here that we talked about? Is it somebody else we did not? Or are you saying, no, we don't need to draft anybody. We're fine with the group that we have. Let me know your thoughts there. And heck yeah, Mark. Draft is soon.
Yeah, going to be fun. It's that when the Rams are on the clock, man, it's something special. It always is.
Yeah, it is something special, and I hope for special things to happen very soon. But that'll do it here, Rams Nation. Man, so excited. But never forget, go Rams, baby.
That's right.